For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
One more attempt aimed at finally reconstructing the St. Jude Hospital after the fire of September the 9th of 2009. Should you consider Stevenson King a snake or former Governor General Neville Snack? And of course, we have a whole lot more between now and 2 o'clock this afternoon right here on Power 97.9 FM. You're also watching the broadcast on our NewsSpin Facebook page as well as on YouTube. My name is Timothy Poleon. Broadcast goes on until 2 o'clock this afternoon. In a moment, your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979, along with your WhatsApp calls and messages. The number 716-2026, and that is 716-2026. As we say, good afternoon to you, Kimani.
Good afternoon, Tim.
As people are just saying good afternoon and they're just entering the chat room and entering the, commencing the conversation. What they're saying, very early on, what they're saying, just good afternoon. That's
good
what they're
afternoon, that's it.
Yeah, very
They're
early.
always well behaved very early on.
Yeah, but
and
what
then
happened?
You rile them up.
And things disintegrate. No, don't blame me for that. No,
Yeah,
no. I'm not responsible for that. All right, let's talk about the perennial concern. Since the fire of September the 9th, 2009, we've had reasons to talk about St. Jude Hospital. And the reasons, 99.9% have to be negative because of the ham-fisted manner, the amateurish manner in which our governments have tried to reconstruct that health institution. And even when there's some semblance of hope, somehow it is overtaken and people get by something else, and people get despondent, particularly the residents of the South. They have to continue to go to the George Odlum Stadium for medical treatment. What if we did not have a George Odlum Stadium? What would have happened? Well, patients would have been sent to various locations in the south of the island. And who knows, up to now, would be doing just that, haggling over the poor management of this project. But in the process, many people got rich because whilst you had this amateur approach towards the rehabilitation and reconstruction of the hospital, a lot of people were getting rich. A lot of people were employed. And if it weren't, something that was very serious, therefore it would have been comical, something that would be laughable. And so, you remember the particular period when former health minister, current president of the Senate, Alvina Reynolds, promised that the hospital would be opened within a few months. I think the prediction was August of 2012. And she made that pronouncement in June of 2012. And this comment was captured and reproduced in a documentary that was that aired 5 years ago by Dale Elliott and his Untold Stories series. Let's say from the then Health Minister Alvina Reynolds, a very brief clip.
That within 3 weeks, windows will be installed, and then you can begin the cleaning up process and the laying of the flooring and installing equipment. That within 3 weeks, windows will be installed, and then you can begin the cleaning up process and the laying of the flooring and installing equipment.
Alvina Reynolds speaking in June of 2012. 11 years have elapsed. What has happened? We are still talking about a project to rehabilitate and reconstruct the St. Jude Hospital. Also, some 5 years ago, Guy Joseph, part of the previous United Workers' Party administration, he had to speak on the St. Jude Hospital project. And he admitted, as I've been saying over the last few years, both sides are responsible for the failure of the authorities to deliver that hospital to the south of the island. Guy Joseph.
People want to make it an issue that we've spent $800,000 for an audit. But we've spent $118 million on a facility that should not have cost us $50 million. And nobody wants to be held accountable for the failings. And I'm telling you, both governments have to take their share of blame.
No one, according to Guy Joseph, no one wants to take responsibility for the failure to deliver on that health institution. And amidst that, millions have been expended. Millions upon millions upon millions. And St. Lucians have been a little too quiet. We are very docile people. Things are happening in our name. We are not too pleased, and we just take to NewsSpin. We comment about it. We agitate. We quarrel. And that's it. What is the reason? What's the excuse that we had a fire in 2009? Okay, 2009 fire. And we cannot deliver on a health institution, on a building, a structure to house a hospital. But conveniently sometimes we express outrage when we want to, because the person who said something, we're not from the same political party, whether it's red or yellow, but those are the significant issues that really needs to rile us up, that needs to cause us to be incensed, cause us to feel, really, to a point where we just want to call upon those who are responsible for certain initiatives to maybe just give up their salaries or to pay us back for all the monies that we have in turn paid to them, rewarded them, compensated them for so-called work that they have done in our name, whether it's as minister of this or minister of that, or prime minister, or minister with responsibility for finance. They have all those titles, and they are not delivering what is commensurate with the jobs that they have been on, the positions that they have been given. So let's fast forward to today, the 3rd of August, 2023. Earlier today, there was a signing ceremony for the St. Jude Rehabilitation and Reconstruction Project, and that is with the Saudi Development Fund. And that loan, a loan was granted to St. Lucia, granted to St. Lucia to the tune of $201 million. Now, that money, I think, is in the hands of the government of St. Lucia so far, but they signed on the dotted line, have an agreement, etc. The loan has a 5-year grace period, 2% interest, and according to the Prime Minister and Minister with responsibility for finance, a disaster clause was also included. I think you'll hear from him in a moment, and he'll explain. He goes on to say that the United Workers' Party Government Hospital, described as the box, according to him, will be protected. Over to the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, speaking earlier today at that signing ceremony for the St. Jude Hospital Rehabilitation and Reconstruction Project.
And for the skeptics, there will be many. This loan will do the following. It is a loan that will do the following. It will rehabilitate the eastern wing, which contains outpatient clinics, a pharmacy, maternity wards, and a neonatal care department. The surgical wing, which includes the accident and emergency department, x-rays, the lab, and surgical operating rooms. The western wing, this building houses the kitchen on the ground floor and the administrative offices on the first floor. The southern wing, this wing will be sealed and protected from deterioration from natural occurrences and thus preserved for future expansion of the health facility. So in local parlance, we are going to have to seal off the box, because even if the circumstances that it was built on, we still have to protect it because it's built with funds from the taxpayers of this country and from donor countries. We have to be protected. And that is the ethos of the government of the St. Lucia Labour Party. We do not throw the baby away with the bathwater. We do not denigrate our country for political reasons. We do not peddle lies and misinformation only for political reasons. This is not the way we operate. So we will protect it for future use. The sub-buildings, including maintenance and laundry building, the physiotherapy building, the volunteer housing, the warehouse, and most importantly, the George Odlum Stadium, rehabilitation of the sports stadium to be able to host various sporting games. This loan will be, it's expected that the entire project, including the sports stadium, should be completed by 2028, including the sports stadium. But the hospital buildings, where work will not stop, we expect that the hospital buildings to be completed at the earliest possible opportunity, because we have secured the funding. We've secured the funding. So what's left for us now is for us to continue work on the project, and our Saudi friends will ensure that the proceeds reach St. Lucia as early as possible. It's very important, Your Excellency, that this hospital is completed at the earliest possible time. It's very important. The people of the South have already suffered. The people of the South have suffered the workers, the hospital staff, they've endured years of suffering. I want to thank the Honorable Stephenson King, who at the time was the Prime Minister, and he saw the reason why work should not have continued on these buildings. And when the technical staff from the Saudi fund visited the buildings, because they didn't take our word for it, they visited the buildings, the technical experts, and they also decided that there was no reason why work should not continue on these existing buildings. And I thank you for that, Excellency. So we are going to press ahead. We're going to press ahead. You're going to press ahead. And the people of the South will get a new facility. They will get a new facility. It's no longer they might get. They will get a new facility. Thanks, Sir.
It's no longer if they will get or when they will get, but they will get a new facility. So the people over in the south of the island, they should take comfort from that, because they've heard it from Stephenson King, they heard it from Dr. Kenny Anthony, they heard it from Alan Chastney, and now they're hearing it from Philip Joseph Pierre, that they will get a new hospital. I imagine some of you are saying, thank God you're not residing in the south of the island. Because it appears that the people in the south, very tolerant people, very patient people, that they could wait for so long for a health institution that was gutted by fire. The building was gutted by fire. 3 lives were lost in the process. Monies were donated by solutions, whether here or overseas, various organizations, various governments. And 14 years later, we are still talking about a reconstruction and rehabilitation of this hospital. The day will come when finally the doors to this hospital will be opened. In the meantime, all of us should be embarrassed. All of us as citizens should be embarrassed. This administration, previous administrations should also feel embarrassed, because this is really making a mockery of life in our country. The fact that we have been so unprofessional, the fact that, we have adopted this kind of carefree attitude towards the completion of not a warehouse, not any building, not any structure, but a hospital. I think this is the building that's taken the longest to construct in the history of our country. And yet still, at a signing ceremony, Prime Minister is still playing politics with this. Round of applause for Stephenson King. So critical of Stephenson King for not completing the hospital. At the time, Mr. King was the Prime Minister of St. Lucia. He stayed in office between 2009 and 2011. The then SLP administration excoriated him, belittled him for not completing the hospital. Came into office 2011 to 2016. Dr. Kenny Anthony administration again failed, and the UWP came and failed between 2016 and 21, and they have been blaming COVID-19 ever since. And now this administration will make an attempt to complete the hospital. We have the line to take your calls right now at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Our first call in line. Good afternoon. You are on the air.
Bon après-midi, monsieur Tim.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Ça fait la voix sur mes cloches. Eh bien, moi, écoutez, présentation gouvernement sans tête la mini pour le présentement de ici. En opinion, moi, ça m'a cap au premier parole ici. Philippe Pierre, Capojon, cette ici, c'est visite. Moi, vraiment des questions Pour tu raison, le meilleur pour là, pour tu raison, pas qu'à finir l'hôpital neuf là, flambeau te faire. Pour tu y veut via même via l'hôpital là, ils ont fait 5 années en bas administration, Kenyon Tony, pas tout ça fini. Pour tu y caille point en loan, excellent l'argent où, qui caille fini l'hôpital ça, et là dans l'hôpital neuf qui a presque fini. Question, moi, je vais donner cette mission. Pour tu nous, autant quoi pas. Kim, en opinion, moi, je pas qu'à crier pièce qualité violence. L'argent ça là, gouvernement cette ici qui peut être pour y continuer via l'hôpital ça là. Moi qu'à crier sur toute cette mission. Je vois travail qui commencer à via l'hôpital ça là. Nous on doit être double travail ça là. Nous demandons gouvernement, c'est l'hôpital là nous voulons, nous pas voulons via l'hôpital là. Ça c'est opinion moi.
OK. Merci beaucoup. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. And we hope that the Ministry of Finance, whatever agency that's responsible, will ensure that the over $201 million loan will be safeguarded. We want no corruption. We don't want any misuse of funds because we have had enough as far as the reconstruction of St. Jude is concerned. We have a WhatsApp call. Good afternoon. You are on the air. Hello. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Yes. Good afternoon, Tim.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you.
Tim, from the south. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Tim, when I check what this government is doing right now about this hospital, I look at it as pure wickedness to St. Lucia and St. Lucians. When you tell me you're going to take this amount of loan to rebuild, or if they have to demolish the old hospital and to rebuild it again, when you have stopped all work, and we have to be paying that loan, instead of completing the hospital Mr. Chasney started, which is new. Yes, I understand if you take a loan to do the stadium, to put it in order, that's all right. But to take another loan to rebuild another hospital, when you have a new hospital standing there, and you refuse to do it, because of what? Because of shame? You put in a heavy load on our back again to go and pay another loan team? That minister is a madman to do something like that. He's mad, and it's pure wickedness to us to put in loan on our backs again. That's not fair to us. Just complete the new hospital and it's okay. Whether it's you that finish it or whether Shasney completed it and you finish it, it's all right. It's just like what's his name? Sir John did the stadium, not the stadium, so the Millennium Highway, and you all open it. Why can't you do the same with this new hospital? Tim, that's wickedness upon us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. 452-2979, 452-2979. We have a call. Hello, you on the air?
Tim, good afternoon.
Hi, I'm okay, caller. Good afternoon to you.
What an interesting event today. Tim, is it a loan? Because I probably get all the things different. Is it a loan that we have to pay?
Yeah, it's a loan. Over 201 million EC dollars.
Now, how much it was cost to finish the box that was there? What was the cost?
As far as memory is concerned, what I heard the previous Prime Minister said will be a lot less than $201 million because he said that it was, 80% complete?
Mm. And then the one they are going back on how much it would have cost to finish it?
The old hospital?
Yeah.
Well, that's why they took the $201 million loan.
What I am saying is that I'm not against, we got a hospital for so long. I'm from the south. But what really interesting is the people of St. Lucia once again will have to make a sacrifice. Am I right?
Yeah, we always do. Whenever governments take a loan, it's the people who have to pay it, who have to finance it.
Why don't we consult the people of St. Lucia before we do that? Because it is at the expense. If the other hospital balance the two together, because they're in the same vicinity of each other. If the other hospital, from all reports, it was like state of the art, and the way it was, and it's bigger. In fact, the amount of beds it have, I'm not too sure. I think it was close to 200. Now we don't know how many beds the old one that they're going to build there is going to take. These are the things that we need to know. And it's interesting that we know that it's our country and it does not belong to no politician, whether it's Labour or Flabo, nobody. Everything that has happened that will come to a cost for this country, it is important that the people of St. Lucia know. Nothing in secret. What we have seen there so far, it's an idea of nobody want to work on each other's project. Okay? These fellas knew very well that the new hospital that was building would have been acceptable, and that is the world demand hospital. That's what we need in this country. But no. And I listen to the Prime Minister continue again playing politics. How long can politics will stop playing, St. Lucia? How long? Playing politics and checking about who one time gives former Prime Minister Stephen King praise and this one. But the most important things, although I listened to him, he did not tell us as to how long it's going to take.
Hospital to be completed at the earliest possibility.
But Tim, if you build in a house, Tim, or somebody building a house for you, Tim, you ought to know how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
You ought to know that. So because we are in the hurricane season, the stadium is overwhelmed, and person to keep somebody at the stadium, if you need oxygen or your condition, ICU or whatever it is, that to be very worse for them to keep you there. So then if you tell there was a time we heard it would have taken 3 years. And if it takes 3 years, this administration will be demoted from office, and we would still not have a hospital in the south. So then everything have a date and a timeline, and we have heard long before. The next month, big ceremony, this, and they wait, get out of office, and up to a day, even as we speak, we did not have a hospital. If we get a hospital in the south, thanks be to God, we will accept it. But let me tell this party that you cannot play game with the people's money and think you can do what you want. St. Lucia does not belong to no politician. It is our country. If it's not good for the other one, then it cannot be good for you. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you so much, colleague. We have a WhatsApp call. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
I'm okay, caller. Good afternoon to you.
Listen to this. Tricks. I call it tricks. But you know what they say? Tricks are for kids. Tim, Philip JP pretending like he doesn't know. He has to give the date of completion. When you go in the bank and take a loan to build a house, just like the former caller said, there's a time frame. They give you money for the foundation, money for the building, money for the payments, for the salaries, for everything. And you have a time frame, expected time date. He thinks he's smart, because we know he's not smart. He thinks he's smart. He's saying at the earliest possible time. That is Boboli's talk. Everybody know that. When you don't want to do something, you're giving them kind of phrase. So when you've been taken to court, you can say you did not give a date. That's Boboli's talk. Everybody know that. What I'm saying is, again, they got 100 and something million already to build that hospital. You know what are killing me? These Saudis, these Americans, and these financial institutions know that these fellas are lying, you know. You're still giving them money. But us, the people, when you want a little loan, they sign up by them petty cash, little advance place and them place to take $20 when we want loans to do real projects. But these guys continue to embezzle money to put in their pocket. They know that they're lying. They come, they visit, they look and pretend as if, well, okay, things are well. We can see things are progressive. Don't mind them. These are all tricks in the trade. Tricks it is. All them financial institutions that funding them finance have their own gain and benefits. Who knows what they promised the Saudis at the back there? They're not saying it. Who knows what they promised the Saudis? Who knows what they're telling they'll give them passports? What are they telling they'll give them? Huh? Then we have to pay them loans, and then you want us to go to work, and we don't have a minimum wage, and things escalating, and prices going up, and you want us to come and work, and you think we're going to work? People working for companies in St. Lucia for $7, $6 an hour. See, you think people really want to work in St. Lucia to pay these loans that these guys are taking? Philip JP know well. He come in the next election, he will not be sitting down there. So you run and take the loan fast so they can put it in their pocket and get out of there. That's all they just do.
Okay, caller.
All of them just do it.
Let's not act irresponsibly, sir, okay? Because we don't know where the money will end. We can assume that the money will be used for the project, caller. Okay? If we don't have it in black and white, let's not say that.
Okay, Mr. Poleon, but you know that's not the first time That's not the first time. We're doing it over and over. It's like a recurring decimal. We see it happen over and over and over again, and they pretend they come out and speak. Oh, and listen to me, man. Listen, that makes no sense. These things make no sense. Now, for the people of St. Lucia who like to just talk a lot of nonsense and rubbish, it is time. And people keep saying, you're not exciting, no kind of action. But at the end of the day, in all countries, look at France, look at Germany. Look at France, look at Germany, look at what's going on in these countries because of political destruction. These politicians are making decisions. But you know what? Solutions more based on fighting among themselves. Now they know that. They're keeping the people divided in the yellow-red. These politicians, they think they're smart. They're walking around in town with this red and this yellow, keeping the people so foolish because the people are so uneducated, they don't listen to international news. So they don't know where to target these people. Then they love it to keep you stupid. So when you're on the ground calling about labor and Flavo, you are fool because they're taking millions and put in their pockets. We know them tricks. Okay? It cannot be that when politicians do these kinds of things, they don't get charged, they don't face a court. I remember this other minister that's sitting there now, he in government now, he had a show. Every first day, he had something to say. He had documents to say. Since that day, nobody will go to court yet. He had documents to prove. No police arrest, nobody yet. He had documents to prove corruption in the government, corruption in this. Everybody immune. Only people like that have to take jail. Only people on the ground have to take jail. Only people on the ground have to take jail. But they're immune to all what they're doing. And we can sit and don't do nothing. There's a time for action. And trust me, that time coming for St. Lucia, trust me, Rick Wayne have been saying it, and it will happen. One day, they'll be afraid to be politicians. You just watch and see.
Thank you so much for calling, sir. This is NewsSpin. Let's take another call. Good afternoon to you. You are on the air.
Timothy, a pleasant good afternoon to you and your listeners all over the world. PW on the line, Timothy. Timothy, you know, as I always say, what part of the solar system, what part of the galaxy did Philip J. Pierre give that interview? Or was it a opening ceremony or whatever? What was it? Timothy, you heard a few years ago that Alvina Reynolds said that the hospital would open in 6 months. How many years later, this hospital is not finished? Now you had a prime minister come in and say that he have secured a loan of $201 million. I told you the government was broke. I told you there was no money for that St. Jude hospital. Even though the St. Lucia Labour Party wants to finish the hospital, the government is broke. So they have to secure a loan of $201 million, Timothy. Here is Timothy. We have spent $80 million to $100 million on the hospital. Could you imagine that at the end of the day, almost $300 to $350 million is going to be spent on a hospital? And the government is so smart, Timothy, so clever, that they have tied up the stadium, you know, reconstruction of the stadium in that $201 million. They know very well that the people of St. Lucia won't believe them. So they have tied up the stadium in that particular $201 million. Timothy, I am worried. The Prime Minister said that both the hospital and the stadium will be completed in 2028. But me moon kikai mo avasa, Timothy. I can tell you that. But Timothy, the Prime Minister hasn't said what is the approximate, not the exact data I'm looking for, the approximate date of the complete of the St. Jude Hospital. He haven't said to the St. Lucian public, to the St. Lucian citizens, what money of that $201 million is allocated for the stadium and what is allocated for the hospital. This government of the St. Lucia Labour Party need to come out and tell us more of what is happening and how this money is going to be spent after 14 years of not having a hospital. The technical team is there. They should know an approximate date. I am not looking for, the solution people are not looking for an exact date. With the technical team, they should know an approximate date, and they should tell us what is allocated for the stadium, what is allocated for the hospital, to make this country a better place when it comes to health service. Timothy, I thank you.
Thank you so much for calling, sir. Still to come, we'll be hearing some more of your calls. We'll be going through your WhatsApp messages. And, of course, Kimani will be going through some of your comments in the chat room as you continue to watch NewsSpin on our NewsSpin Facebook page as well as YouTube and listen on Power 97.9 FM.
Treat yourself to KFC's new Genius Menu. Get your choice of one-piece chicken, corn and biscuit, or one-piece chicken, fries and biscuit, or one-piece chicken, mac and cheese and biscuit for just $11.50. Order now through WhatsApp at 484-0400
or visit our website kfcslu.com
or dine in at any one of our locations. Now that's a genius choice with unbeatable value. KFC, finger licking good.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
There is only one option when they arrive. Our services will make the dead look alive. With Bouteille and Beaufort accessibility. Remember, we have the only private cemetery. No one can match our prices from coffins to corsage. Personalized service you get when Lazarus take charge. Quality service, no package to make your wallet bleed. Lazarus is your true friend in your time of need.
Contact Lucelect before trimming or cutting down trees that are near overhead electrical wires. Watch out for power lines before you begin working on a ladder. Be sure that ladders or scaffolds are far enough away so that you and the ends of the tools you're using don't come within 10 feet of power lines. And never use any electrical appliance in wet surrounding outdoors or in the rain.
This message is brought to you by Lucelect, the power of caring.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay. Flow is keeping you connected.
Night Meds is your dependable neighborhood pharmacy. You'll notice that upon entry, you are greeted by caring professional staff, attentive to your every need. Your prescriptions are always treated with a high degree of confidentiality, and we pride ourselves on providing speedy, efficient service. We carry a wide array commonly requested over-the-counter products, and our prices are very competitive. We offer blood pressure testing, blood sugar, and cholesterol testing. We're open to fill your prescriptions Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Come visit Salu's gas station on the Miku Highway or call us at 572-6840 or WhatsApp 461-6840 for more information. Night Meds Pharmacy, We are your community med store.
Automotive Art is a place to start.
Automotive Art is now bigger and better with bargains galore. Automotive Art has expanded. With new exciting products and increased shopping comfort, we welcome you to visit. Celebrate with us and take advantage of our specials. New tires starting at $129, 25% off all tools and accessories, up to 75% off rims, BOGO specials, car care bundles, and other bargains galore. Automotive Art, bigger and better.
In the chat room, Kimani, as I say, good afternoon to you once again.
Good afternoon again, Tim. Someone says this is one time I'm supporting the Star to stay in office. I want to see and hear the repercussions of this ink to paper, the cost of doing business with Saudi Arabia. Another comment, someone says repairing that stadium is throwing money in the sky. Someone says, well, St. Lucians can stop this fast by coming out and demonstrating against the nonsense. They must stop demonstrating only when UWP is in power. Another comment, they sell the ports, they must have offered a portion of St. Lucia to the Saudis. Another comment, I want a contract to do something good with the box factory or sports center for the young youths. I really don't see why St. Lucians celebrated Emancipation Day. Someone says, Tim, Alan Chastney built a hospital in 2 years, but Labour and Philip Japia is saying 2028. Wow. All this is to show us St. Lucians that no politicians don't care about us. They are just there for their pockets. Tim, is that the surprise Lisa Jawa here was speaking about on their inflation celebration? Tim, this is just laughable. The burden is on our children and grandchildren's backs. Another comment, they will not rebuild the old St. Jude. Noticed he never gave time of completion. These guys are loading their pockets before leaving or getting kicked out of office. It would be interesting to see the pics of the Saudis hospital to make a determination that the old structure is good enough for us.
We have Lisa Jarayer online. Government Senator, good afternoon to you, ma'am. Thanks for calling the broadcast.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for the opportunity to take my call. So allow me to perhaps clear the air and tell and remind St. Lucians of exactly what the Prime Minister said. Without me making any assumptions or my own opinion on it, the Prime Minister never said that the hospital will be delivered in 2028. And perhaps the caller prior did not hear what the Prime Minister said. The Prime Minister said that the rehabilitation of the stadium will take us to 2028 and the hospital will be completed in the shortest space of time. Yes, he did not give a date, but he never said that. Further, Timothy, I just heard Kimani read a comment from someone about the sale of the port. I just want to remind the people of St. Lucia that is absolutely false. That has never happened. And it is very interesting for all of us to note that the same MOU which was signed in 2017-2018 by the previous administration, negotiating terms, because like Dr. Hille said in that meeting yesterday, the fact that both parties have had deliberations with GPH or any entity to develop the port is because we all realize the need for the port to be developed. That is a need that UWP realized, that is a need that the SLP realized. But the MOU that the same UWP administration signed never said that the port was going to be sold. And they are fully aware, and we've said many occasions, that the port is not being sold. The Global Port Holding will have an opportunity to manage the port. They will have an opportunity to train the staff. Nobody will be fired. The Prime Minister also reiterated that his priority was the vendors. His first question was what is going to happen to the vendors. So I wanted to clarify these 2 points. You can take me to task. Anybody can go back and play the recording from Government Information Service earlier today. On no occasion did the Prime Minister ever say that St. Jude Hospital will be completed in 2028. And on no occasion has there been any documentation in the public sphere or even conversation or word from the Prime Minister's mouth that Global Port Holding bought over the Port of Cascade. I think we need to be responsible in the information that is being shared. As journalists, persons are free to call in and share their views. Mr. polio. But if we know for a fact this is not the case, then perhaps we need to correct the callers or the persons who are typing in the messages and elucidate them. That is all I wanted to call in to just. And again, I said, anybody can take me to task for it. It is out in the public sphere. The port of St. Lucia is not sold. No part of St. Lucia under any SLP administration will be sold. What is St. Lucian belongs to St. Lucian. And we look forward to seeing the completion of the St. Jude Hospital, because you know what? The people in the South are the ones suffering. It's going to be 14 years. Yes, administration after administration have decided that what they did was the best for the people. But what is happening right now is the best for St. Lucia. Thank you.
May I ask you a question, ma'am? Why is the Prime Minister not in a position to say when, at least when, the hospital will be completed? I mean, not give an exact date, but an approximate date. Saying that it completed at the soonest opportunity, I mean, that creates doubt in the minds of the people.
Okay, so I can say one thing to that. I have repeated the facts in terms of what the Prime Minister has said. Now, in my opinion, I have seen what has transpired with other individuals who have come out and said that the hospital would be completed in this year. The hospital will be completed by December 2020. If we do not complete the hospital before the end of our term, this, that, and the other, then we deserve to be out of government. It has been risky because, and I know that it is obviously stressful for the people of St. Lucia, not knowing every single detail that is transpiring, Timothy. I certainly understand that because people want the hospital to be complete. But at the end of the day, I believe, I'm not speaking for the Prime Minister, but I believe that the Prime Minister is just being cautious as to giving a particular date, because in the past we have failed. When I say we, I'm talking about every one of us have failed to deliver for the people. The only thing I, Lisa Jawa here, can hold Philip J. by is that Philip J. has promised me, Philip J. has promised St. Lucian, that before the end of his term, we will have a hospital. We voted him 5 years, and I believe it is only fair for us to give him the 5 years to deliver. If he does not, then the people of St. Lucia should judge him by that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for calling the broadcast. You just heard there from Government Senator Lisa Jawayer, who is also the Public Relations Officer of the governing St. Lucia Labour Party.
They in power, lies and more lies. Now, I'm not against the loan, Tim, because the Saudi government right now begging people to come and get loans because these guys have a lot of money. You understand? And the Saudi came on Monday afternoon by British Airways. That was the flight that came in, and I knew that would have signed today. But I didn't know it was all that money, $201 million US dollars.
No, EC.
$50. Well, no matter how you put it, this is what it is. Now, Tim, in my opinion, I know the ambassador is still on island, but I need a loan to start a business too, because things are so hard in this world. He probably listening to NewsSpin. And Tim, I even feel, 97.7 of free, which is your station. We should ask him alone, to build up that station, because your station is one of the most powerful stations in the Caribbean. Power FM is the voice of the people. And I know the Saudis is listening to what is happening in this country. And I'm calling on Philip J. Pierre. With all the money that you get in, the roads island-wide need fixing. And Virginia Albert Poyot, the bogus road, that in a probable state. And when you look at the agriculture sector, Tim, I feel, in my opinion, and if the Saudis is listening, I'm making, an excuse for the Labour Party. Yeah? I believe we should generate about that $280 million into farming in St. Lucia, Tim. Tim, I went to the market on Saturday, and it was heartbreaking to see a market that I go every Saturday is dry. No food in the market. And you're telling me you have a government just throw a 2.5% in our fruit?
Caller, that's because of the recent storm that we experienced, Tropical Storm Brett. That's why we do not have many agricultural produce available to consumers.
The farmers no money.
Plantains,
To rebound.
bananas, a lot of produce.
I will invite you, Tim, one Sunday to come in that part of the world, and you will see the headaches that them young people taking. No help from the government. It's just talk, and more talk. Bluffing us all the time is bluff, and more bluffs. You know? If the Prime Minister believe, go in and build a old St. Jude's, where you have what they call in the box. Just complete that. Just complete the state of the art. Because that money you go in and you take in there to go and build whatever you build in, that ain't going to serve the South anything. Because if you had gone complete the box, you know what could have happened to the OECS countries? As long we get this health care, those OECS countries right now will have to pay to come to our facilities, just like we're paying to go to Martinique. Am I right or wrong, Tim?
Kola, that's your contribution. I'm not adding or subtracting, I'm listening.
No, but in your solution, and I believe in my opinion, that's my opinion. We all, including you, Tim, we should take to the streets and demand that we're not going into our old building. Finish what that started there. Too much money is going down the drain. And in my opinion, I have no confidence in that regime, and I believe it's time for it to go. This is my contribution.
Thank you so much for sharing it with us. 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages. 716-2026. We have a WhatsApp call. Good afternoon. You are on the air. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
So I'm responding to the press secretary of the Prime Minister.
No, not the press secretary. She is the PRO of the SLP, caller.
PRO.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
And she's a government senator.
She said
as well.
we should.
Mm-hmm.
She said we should judge the government based on after 5 years. They should deliver that project before 5 years. But in opposition, that's not what they said. There is Miss from Soufre is on record
Emma
saying.
Hippolyte.
Emma Hippolyte on record saying within the first year in office, they would deliver the hospital. So now they cannot change a narrative. And I believe why this thing is going on, because I don't blame those politicians. I blame St. Lucians. We have before us 2 hospitals, a brand new hospital, and some derelict buildings. This Prime Minister has not come to us and has not said to us that I have made an assessment of the 2 buildings, and we have found it more viable to use the second one or the former one, the old one, because it's more cost effective and has longer it has a longer lifespan, and it is more suited for a hospital. He's not done that. He's just imposed upon us the old buildings. And
caller, there was there's a special committee that made an assessment and recommended that the old St. Jude Hospital should be utilized, should be rehabilitated. You remember that committee? It consisted of Mr. John Peters and some other individuals.
Some politicians that supported the Labour Party.
No, I'm just saying engineer Mr. John Peters, among others.
Okay, he's a Labour Party person, then an engineer. But let me say, sir.
I'm listening, caller. Hello? Okay, I think we lost the caller. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Kimani, what's happening in the chat room?
We have some comments in the chat room. Someone is saying jobs. Hold on. I just lost what I was reading. Jobs for the boys in the South. Another comment, someone says, hold on a second, Timothy.
All right, let me see if I have any WhatsApp messages to go through in the meantime while you try to get those comments from the chat room. You have the comments now? No, not yet?
I do now.
You do? Okay, go right ahead.
Jobs for the young men of the South. Let's see. The pace and intensification of the UWP attack on the esteemed Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre on his commitment to complete St. Jude is undeniable. I live in the South and I welcome the good news. Let's go PM. Someone says, why didn't he give a date? The contractor is supposed to have a completion date of the work if he has the scope of the work that has to be done. Someone says, it's not only about opening the hospital, it's about the quality of healthcare and how we are going to afford it. Someone says, how long will we continue to go ahead with those governments with no plans? However, I appreciate the need to preserve the box. Someone says, these politicians can get a sea of money, they will not deliver this hospital. Someone says, I want my money back. My child was in primary school, she is finished with college already. Will PJP and his government visit the facility with their families or continue to go to these countries with boxes and helicopter pads? Another comment, Pierre, is a galvanized roof more climate resilient than a concrete one, especially in a hurricane zone? Let me see. Someone says a facility will be available is not the issue for me. Are we getting the best or better facility? Someone says this is the most expensive project in St. Lucia. And another comment, the primary ministry cannot even say when the hospital can be completed. What a laughable statement.
We have a call. Let me see if I could get this WhatsApp call on the air. Hello and good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim. How are you?
I'm okay, caller. Good afternoon to you.
Tim, there is a level of hypocrisy in our country. And I think it's high time that we, the people, open our eyes and stop allowing politicians to fool us. And you can recall very clearly that not too long ago, that Prime Minister Philippe J. Pierre, at that time being opposition leader, came on national TV to tell the nation that all those money that were being borrowed, how is it we're putting so much burden on our children to pay those loans? He probably didn't say it to the exact words that I said, but paraphrasing what he said. And if you have the clip, you can play it so the nation can hear. Because these loans he's taking now, who's paying those loans? Is it coming out of his pocket? Huh? You see, this is where I say, you see, when Mr. Bermuda is speaking, I know a lot of people dislike the gentleman because of his truth. You know, we tend to have that tendency in St. Lucia where when someone is speaking truth, we dislike them because the truth always tends to hurt us. You know, these things that these guys are doing is staring us right down in the face, and we tend to do nothing about it, but just complain and talk. You mean to tell me a prime minister can come on national TV to tell you that he borrowed $201 million and he coupled it on purpose, just so to mislead the public? And I'm saying it, he coupled the hospital with the stadium to mislead the public because he do not want the public to know how much money he's going to spend directly on that old hospital. So if I'm telling you that I'm going to do the hospital together with the stadium, and I didn't give you a quota, right? I'm just saying that, okay, I get a loan for 200,000, Tim, and I'm going to do those two stuff. But remember, I never tell you how much either one is going to cost to build. However, he stated that one will go all the way into 2028. But the most important one, which I recall, Philippe J. Pierre saying it hurts his heart, how sad he is because of that hospital that cannot be complete. And when his government come, as soon as they come, this hospital will be first priority. Today, it is 2 years. That hospital is nowhere near completion. You know, Tim, we cannot go back to those years where we had less educated people in the country. And the politicians could walk over us. And today, some of our senior citizens are paying for it, and some of our young are paying for it. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this. Tim, those days where farmers used to be the driving force of our economy, you remember those days?
Yeah, green gold period.
Green gold period. We have a lot of our farmers today. They don't work. They're retired, so-called retired, quote unquote. And then, where is the retirement for those farmers? What was put in place by those people that we keep electing to look over our affairs, to better our lives and our kids' lives? What are they doing for us? You see, we need to stop for a minute and think and stop allowing politicians to spoon feed us with the stupidity, because a lot of people are laughing at us because these guys are taking us team for fools. These guys are taking us for fools. You understand? How can a gentleman, well, I wouldn't say that, but how can a prime minister come to say to other people, I just got a loan and I'm going to put it in the hospital, and in the old hospital, and in the stadium. And he also said, he also said that they will use some of that funding to protect the new building. Now, Tim, let's look at something very, very important here. Wasn't it that same prime minister or his government that stated that the new structure would take about 18 months to be completed based on whatever assessment they do? They did.
Mm-hmm.
How many months has gone by now, Tim? We have gone past 24 months, Tim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That hospital should have been done. And we're not asking the pertinent questions. Again, he said that it would take that, but he never told us how much money it would take to complete the new structure. Now, I am saying that to all those contractors out there in St. Lucia, whether you vote in SLP or UWP, it's time that y'all wake up with that nonsense. Y'all need to come to the media and expose the stupidity and the wastage of money that is taking place in this country. Because we all know that as a contractor, any contractor or advisor that will advise you based on building, they will tell you that fixing or retrofitting an older structure will take more money than just building a newer one. Any contractor, whether you living in St. Lucia or you living in the United States, it is still the same concept. Only in St. Lucia, a government will come to try to fool the people as to that the old structure is better than the new structure. Like, really? Really, Philip Jepia? You know, it's high time that we start taking those guys and putting them where they belong, Tim. Because these guys do not belong in our governments. They do not belong in our office where we the people elect them to take care of our business. You see? And I like that the fact that you what's her name, Lisa called in. But I would rather the press secretary instead of Lisa. Well, I don't know if she's now the press secretary because of the non-transparency in that office.
No, Monday.
However,
I'm told that Monday Lewis is the press secretary to the prime minister. Although I'm
okay,
hearing,
so I would rather her call.
Mm-hmm. All I'm hearing are indifferent.
You know why I would want her to call in, Tim?
Yeah.
Because by then you could challenge Monday a little bit more.
Yeah.
You cannot really ask Lisa the pertinent questions, but you would have the right to ask Monday, and she would have to answer to the public because that's her job. You understand? But I know they would stay away. But Tim, I will say to St. Lucians as I close, this is the time to take the street. Because when you all say Jack wasn't bathing, Jack don't want you all to bathe on the beach. That's the time to take the streets. Thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you so much. As you continue to watch NewsSpin on our NewsSpin Facebook page, as well as YouTube, and listen on Power 97.9 FM. Still to come, what the opposition is saying about the government's management of the economy and also the high cost of living.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Lucilec averti ou pour point précaution durant saison cyclone Salah. mi an ti komisyon ki kaywen de ou protéger la vie ou ek propriétaire ou. Kouye Lucilec avant ou trim et ben couper pied bois qui pouet ligne électrique. Veillez pour ligne courant électrique avant ou monter l'échelle. Fait assurer l'échelle, scaffold et bout zouti ou ka servi, pas vini moins qui 10 pieds hors ligne courant électrique. Pas jamais servi appliance et ben zouti qui ka servi courant électrique. Des war côté qui mouillé et ben en la pli. Ça c'était en commission hors Lucilec.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Why pay full price for your mobile when you can pay half? Just bundle your home internet and mobile services with Glow and save 50%.
Site kfcslu.com or dine in at any one of our locations. Now that's a genius choice with unbeatable value. KFC, finger licking good.
Automotive art is a place to start. Automotive art is a place to start.
Yeah, look, check. We got a wide range of products that are automotive and do-it-yourself supplies if you got a moment. Smart staff that'll always know it. Got rims and tires from trucks to high performance to off-roading. Start hair tools, batteries, oil, and car care.
Automotive art is a place to start.
Ouais, messieurs, pas jodi moi la ka espérer plein bon glow. Si t'en la pani pressure. Moi ni tank, moi ni glow, mais money pressure. Ou savez ça moi besoin? A pump. Ça c'est bêtise. Moi ka aller koyo pa. Yo ni tout pump pour toute condition. Qui pour kay, qui pour business. Yo ni primaire pour pump cette ici. Yo ka ranger pump aussi qui besoin service. Brand pump yo c'est Léo. Pump ça c'est major. I bon tout bonnement. Tant si ten moi actuellement. Glow ka fante. Visitez Europa ambassade Gozile. Les mots au téléphone 452-0763.
What we see with the St. Lucia Labour Party is a policy of extensive and almost singular approach of taxation that is imposed on St. Lucians to the extent that, quite apart from the implications of the external inflation that we are experiencing, we here locally, through the policies of our government, are compounding the situation with the creation of even more inflation. And so I call on the government to review their approach, to take stock of their policies that has been to date and will continue to be deleterious to the economic prospects of our poor people especially and our small businesses. Because they must understand that with the approach of overtaxing the population as they are doing now, what will happen is that people will have less disposable income. As a result of having less disposable income, there will be less spending on discretionary goods and services. As a result of this, what we will experience is a decrease in the level of commerce taking place in this country. Consequently, we will have a shrinkage of the economy, and we St. Lucians will be experiencing harder times than we are already experiencing. And so, while the government did nothing to stem the tide of their part in terms of implementing the local inflation, because we can do very little, I must confess, about the international inflation that we inherit. What they could have done was, as my colleague indicated, continue the subsidies on some of the basic items, okay, where we could have kept the price of some of our staples, such as bread, from increasing. We have a situation where, in recent times, bread has gone from 25 cents to 45 cents. We have a situation where the cost of transportation has increased. Doesn't the government realize the impact that has on the poor and even the middle class of this country? Almost all of us, in some form or fashion, use transportation. Almost all of us eat bread on a daily basis. But quite apart from the increase in the price of bread creating hardship for especially parents, the increase in transportation cost has implications for many other commercial developments in this country. And of course, the increase in the price of fuel, it's not the increase, but the high cost of fuel in this country resulted in the increase of transportation, while the government was boasting about the enormous revenue being derived from the taxation on fuel. This is not a government that is concerned or cares about the plight of its people. This is not a government that has its people's best interest at heart. And of course, quite apart from that, the approach to economic development is one that has failed and has not stood the test of time. To try to get blood out of stone, and like my colleague indicated, with an already anemic economy, if you continue to bleed that economy, what will eventually happen is that you're going to kill the economy.
You just heard there from the Public Relations Office of the Opposition, UWP, speaking at a mid-morning press conference today. Listen our attention now to Kimani and what's happening in the chat room.
Someone says, now is the time to take to the road. We have to demand how and where and when our money is going to be spent. We are the ones who will be paying that loan, costing for hospital and costing for the stadium and the time frame for each. The cost for the hospital and the cost for the stadium and the time frame for each. Someone says, how have we reached a point where the construction of a hospital has become so political? Another comment, not one pension plan for the farmers. Someone says, I miss Norbert Williams. On a day like today, he would be able to dissect this for us. May he rest in perfect peace. Someone says, but Tim, John Peters said $10 million to finish. So who is fooling who? Someone says, so they are not giving us a time, so they won't be held accountable. Personally, I would rather wait for someone that is coming in 2 hours than waiting for someone that may come early, but I have no idea how long I am going to be waiting. That's crazy. We were able to hold the guy accountable because he gave a date. And that's how it's supposed to be. Furthermore, the hospital is not some little private house that is being built as the owner gets money. This is a public building, a hospital at that. And you can't give a date, and you're talking about realistically speaking. Realistically, you have to give a time frame. Someone says, seeing is believing. Another comment, we want a dam completion date. Someone says, less than 1/4 of that amount can complete the box. Mr. Prime Minister, we the taxpayers that will be paying this money back, so please do the honorable thing and complete the box instead of spending $200 million on this foul coup, which will never be suitable for a modern hospital. Timothy, I blame both past SLP and UWP administrations, but at the end of the day, Shah started a brand new state-of-the-art hospital, 80% complete when leaving office, and then fellas come in, stop it for 2 years. And now I'm taking a loan to fix an 80-year-old hospital, and St. Lucia will want to tell me they support that? Another comment, that St. Jude's has been the biggest cash cow project for both administrations. St. Lucians will be paying for St. Jude's 10 times over.
We have a WhatsApp message. Somebody says, it would be interesting to know what the medical advisors are saying to PJP. Where are St. Rose and Lendo in those decisions? What about the people are dying? And the hacks who are smirking in the chat room should know that both Labour and Flobo are dying at the so-called hospital over in V4. Let's see if we have some more of your messages to go through. Okay, let's take a call instead. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Tim,
Good afternoon to you.
your callers are hungry.
They are, very much so.
But why?
Well, it's because they're frustrated.
What does that mean? Since we're talking healthcare today,
They are.
Let you and I pretend to be psychiatrists.
They have had enough, Rick. They have had enough.
No, be a little.
They are overwhelmed. They are frustrated.
They're overwhelmed with what?
With BS?
No, I'm talking about the subject today is the hospital, right?
Yeah.
So what is it about the hospital situation that has so angered callers?
It's because, right, among other things, that the Prime Minister has failed to give a completion date. Because
Okay, so let's stop there for a second.
millions upon millions are being borrowed.
1 minute, then, 1 minute.
Yeah.
Let's break it down for the people. Huh? The Prime Minister has failed to give a completion date for which hospital?
St. Jude, for the St. Jude Reconstruction and Rehabilitation Project.
The one that's going on there now.
Yeah.
Now, he gave a date for 2028 or something?
2028 for the stadium.
For
Because
the
that
stadium.
money, the over $201 million, will be used for the reconstruction of the old hospital, as well as work on the stadium and also the hospital, the building that was constructed by the previous administration.
They have the box to box. So I'm just trying to get this, find out why the callers are so angry. So the Prime Minister gave them the dates. He did, didn't he?
He did not give one particular date, the hospital. He said to be completed.
He announced the signing to them, all right?
Yeah, at the earliest possibility, he says.
Okay. Now, Tim, how many dates have we had from how many prime ministers over 13 years?
Close to at least half a dozen dates.
Have the people demonstrated any frustration over 13 years? And all the leaders in the House right now are involved with that. What frustration have the people? I think the biggest frustration they had was that they dumped the last government, right?
Yeah.
That was, I'm going to assume that was frustration too.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you.
Yeah, I'm following you, Rick.
Okay. Now, I haven't heard one person say, for example, that this hospital, when it comes off, I'm going to say when it comes off, will have to be about the most expensive hospital anywhere. How much money have we spent on that dream hospital so far officially?
I don't know, but I mean, I could just imagine millions upon millions.
Million.
Yeah, close to $1 billion.
So we have already spent, without account, $800 million, and we've had 3 or 4 administrations, and none of them has chosen to say how those monies were spent, who frittered it away, in what way, how do we get somebody to be accountable for it, etc., etc. Have we?
No, we haven't.
The answer is no.
We haven't.
But there's been no anger, demonstrated anger about that. Kenny Anthony said on March 14th, 2023, everything we are doing today is the consequence of what happened in the past.
And he's correct.
So what I don't want our people, I don't want my fellow St. Lucians just to be frustrated and angry, and once they have given vent, they go, all colors, huh? I'm not talking about any party. We tend to get all crazy about things, and if you were to sit down and say, well, what exactly is it you're crazy about? What exactly are you complaining about? When did the complaint start? The problem you're complaining about right now, did you know about it yesterday and the day before? What did you do about it? Because everything we are doing today is the consequence of what happened in the past. That is truth.
Yeah.
Stated truth. So we have already unaccountably spent $800 million. We have heard every possible date. We've had quality of the hospital, everything, state of the art. We've had every kind of superlative applied to that kind of stuff. But it doesn't seem to bother us that we have spent already 800 million without account. And when this, well, it will cost again at least $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
With what's called $1 billion. I wonder how many hospitals you think in a poverty-stricken place like this would have spent $1 billion building a hospital?
I would hazard to say none.
Well, were we angry? Have we demanded accounting? Have we demanded of Chastney and all the other? And this morning, the Prime Minister congratulated, if I got it right,
Stevenson King.
What were the congratulations for?
Round of applause for Stevenson King for continuing with the old hospital, the old structure.
For continuing with the old structure. You see why we are where we are? Whereas, as you well know, Stevenson King had his part in the 800 million unaccountable dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And we also know that at one season, in connection with the hospital, Stevenson King was the biggest loader of
mm-hmm.
right? Then and so it has gone. And so who was the other one got congratulated? Kenny Anthony.
Dr. Kenny Anthony, yes.
Well. For what, Tim?
For deciding to continue the old hospital.
You see what I'm telling you? That is the kind of stuff that is shoved at grown-ass men and women. And then we instead of dealing with asking those kind of questions, etc., we get angry and we don't know what we're angry at. Now, is it a surprise today that the Prime Minister had decided to spend the money on the structure he decided on? Is that a surprise?
I don't think it should come as a surprise because I think...
Why it would be a surprise, Tim? He has announced that many times before. Didn't he tell you, do you remember a group of concerned, I would imagine because they're citizens, first and foremost, experts going to look at both structures and reporting back, or the official report, by the way, that the money should be spent on the one the Prime Minister is spending it on right now? Wasn't that announced?
But when I interviewed Mr. John...
Help me.
Hold on. When I interviewed Mr.
Announced?
Yes, when I interviewed Mr. John Peters, he also admitted that committee did advise the utilization of both the old St. Jude Hospital and the one that was constructed by the previous administration.
That is correct, but you're not going to get Mr. Peters to come and say that now. Neither will you get any of the other engineers, and I know some of them are disappointed. You will get none of them to come and express what the expertise tells them is the right thing and so on. You'll get none of them. You see what I'm telling you, St. Lucian should be angry about? We have a lot of reason to be angry at our politicians. But our anger is usually due. I mean, I heard what's his name ring the bell or whatever. Very angry man. You know who he sounded like? Our former Prime Minister when he said, if you touch this, I will fight you, and etc., etc. No reason, but if the new government went and touched that hospital, etc., he threatened what would happen. That's what I'm hearing everywhere, Tim. But nobody is interested in when that hospital is finished, it will have cost us at least $1 billion, and we still don't know when. When you box up what's going on there, how do you protect it by boxing it up? An engineer might tell us that, because as talented as my friend the Prime Minister is, I don't think the Prime Minister knows anything about preserving buildings and so on and so on. So the box is going to be preserved. What are you going to spray it? How are you going to put plastic on it, wrap it up? I don't know. But this whole thing, but in the final analysis, though, St. Lucians, if you were to ask them, would tell you the thing they wanted most in St. Lucia today. The hospital.
Yeah.
Well, if now the Prime Minister has found the money and is giving them a hospital, what are they complaining about? Make up our minds. What is it? I'm not saying there's no room for complaint. There's a lot of room for complaint, but there has been no complaint regarding those things that we should be complaining about. And by the way, I hear all the callers. I haven't heard one guy who's an expert or one guy who's knowledgeable about a call yet. See how much trouble we're in, Tim?
That's because they're somewhere out there in their vehicle, in their offices, listening and chuckling because they do not want to find themselves in any trouble with the authorities, with the government.
Yet another reason for our people to be angry. But they ain't angry about that. They don't know what they're angry about. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That is yet another reason where you have guys who are experts and you trust them and whatnot, and they all have fork tongues and said 3 different things on the same thing in 3 different days. We don't get angry at that. We don't wonder what exactly the Prime Minister was honoring King and the other guy.
Dr. Anthony.
I don't notice he didn't honor Shashney because they all contributed to the $800 million debt. Money
I guess the difference is in the case of Mr. Alan Shanstein, he decided to construct a new hospital.
Well, he and the others all are accountable to us for having spent $800 million and not delivered the promised dream hospital.
And you know, Rick, what is very unacceptable is that even at this ceremony, even at this ceremony, signing ceremony for the St. Jude Rehabilitation and Reconstruction Project, in the presence of the Saudis, the Saudi official, the Saudi minister, etc., the Prime Minister is still playing politics. He's still being parochial in terms of his approach to this particular controversial project.
But I would prefer you devote some serious attention to that, because it was interesting what Prime Minister was saying, that we have to be careful what kind of image we give foreigners about us, and what we say and what we do. And in the same breath he was saying that, he was telling us what liars we have and the people.
In the presence of the Saudis.
No, you didn't get me.
Yeah.
I said, while the Prime Minister, in the presence of the Saudi, he was saying, well, he said it before. In fact, in the same delivery this morning, he was saying we must be careful what we say about our country.
Yeah.
And then went on in the same breath to talk about the liars and the crooks and everybody else. Interesting, but that shouldn't be the thing for today. The thing for today is we have been pleading for a hospital. Well, it seems we're going to get one. And it doesn't matter, it will be the most expensive hospital in the world. The experts advised the Prime Minister, according to the Prime Minister, he was guided. What's his name? John?
Like John Peters,
John Peters,
Mr. Hennicat, Mr. Hennicat.
All these guys.
Mr. Hennicat chaired that committee, that review committee.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And these are guys, all of them, who profess to have a particular love for the culture and for the country and what's happening to our this and what's happening to our that. That is what our people need to be angry about, because we are headed for disaster. All that stuff going on. We're headed for disaster because we can't make up our minds what we want, what we will tolerate. And by the way, that too is a nice reflection from a number of other things that urgently require our focus. Thank you very much.
All right, Rick. So the 5-member committee to review the hospital's reconstruction project, chaired by Mr. Mark Hennicat, also included Mr. John Peters, Mr. Francis Chitoli, engineering. You also had Mr. Cosmas Andrew, engineering, and one Mr. Moses Medrick, contracting. In the chat room, Kibani, anything to report as we're getting all set to conclude the broadcast?
Someone says some people are not thinking about their children's future. They love the BS the government is doing. Another comment, the Trinidadian special prosecutor had better get to work sooner. Someone says, what happened to all the loans taken before? Another comment in the chat room, someone says the show is ending sad. That's it, Tim.
All right, thank you so much. Let's turn our attention now to our NewsSpin News of the Day. NewsSpin News of the Day. Huge billboard in Lisbon puts spotlight on clergy abuse as Pope arrives. Lisbon, the capital of Portugal. Huge billboard in Lisbon puts spotlight on clergy abuse as Pope arrives. Our NewsSpin News of the Day bringing to a conclusion today's edition of the broadcast. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube as well as the NewsSpin Facebook page and listening on Power 97.9 FM. Have yourself an enjoyable Thursday. We'll be back, God willing, tomorrow afternoon, same time, 12:30. Goodbye.